They doubted us. They told us that we were delusional. They told us that we were crazy. But look at us. Look at us now. Benefit Nation. We are so up right now. This morning, we got news and confirmation that Benedict Bridgerton is officially the lead of Bridgerton Season 4. I literally cannot believe that I just said that sentence out loud. I woke up to the news because I'm a late sleeper. Okay, I like to sleep until 9 or 10 o'clock. My boyfriend woke me up, showed me the video, and I cried. There were tears in my eyes. It was so beautiful. This is all I ever wanted. I prayed for times like this. So many people doubted Benedict stans, telling us all these things, saying, sorry, there's no way Benedict is next season, you guys are delusional. People on Tumblr coming up with essays of reasons why Benedict was not going to be the lead of season 4. But we persevered. We didn't let them bring us down, and look at where we are. I even made a video like over a month ago in between Bridgerton season 3 part 1 and part 2 talking about how I think Benedict is going to be the next lead of Bridgerton, which, by the way, if you haven't watched that video, you should go watch it. I make a lot of really great points in that video. And I had people in my comment section doubting me, telling me I was wrong. But was I? No, sir. So here we are in just 2 long, unnecessary, excruciatingly long years. We will finally have Benedict's season of Bridgerton on our screens. So in light of this news of Benedict being the next lead of Bridgerton, I thought I would break down things that we know about season 4 of Bridgerton so far. Mind you, they haven't started filming. They were supposed to start filming at the beginning of July, but the filming got pushed to September, which is irritating, but we'll get to that in a second. So, what we know about Bridgerton season 4 so far. It is confirmed that there is going to be a 2-year wait for season 4. So we're going to get season 4 in 2026. And I'll talk more in a second about the fact that it takes 2 years for the show to be made. We'll get there. We know that directly from Netflix's own article that Benedict will be meeting the Lady in Silver in his season, which, if you don't know, the Lady in Silver is what they call Sophie when Benedict doesn't know that she's the girl from the masquerade ball. So in this video, if you hear me referring to Lady in Silver, I'm talking about Sophie. And also, by the way, we're probably going to talk a bit about book spoilers in this video, so just a heads up there. So we know that Benedict is going to be meeting Sophie, and we do know that they're keeping the masquerade ball from Benedict's book. During the press for Bridgerton season 3, Jess Bernal, the showrunner of Bridgerton, said that season 4 is going to be the most book accurate out of any season so far, which is incredibly good news for Benefit stans who like the book. So we can expect to see things like the masquerade ball, them at my cottage, Sophie going to jail probably. We can probably expect to see all of the main plot points of Benedict's book. In this same Netflix article, Jess Bernal says, it felt important for Benedict to explore the fullness of himself before he settles down, sort of explaining his character growth and his character arc in season 3, and explaining how that plays into him being the lead of season 4. Season 4, like all other seasons of Bridgerton, is going to be 8 episodes long, or should I say it's going to be 8 episodes short. Like I said, filming for season 4 was supposed to start in July, but it's been pushed to September, and since then, Jess Bernal has told us that season 4 of Bridgerton is going to explore a new season of Bridgerton, literally. So far, all 3 seasons of Bridgerton have taken place during the springtime, but Benedict's season is going to take place a little bit more in like the season of fall, which I think is going to be really interesting. And I think if they do it right, like with the right color grading and the right kind of aesthetic, I think it could be a really beautiful season. Jess Bernal has also gone on record saying that Benedict's season of the show is going to open the world of Bridgerton in such a big way. And I think that this is because Benedict's season is going to take place outside of society, and it's going to take place outside of London, which is a sort of area that Bridgerton hasn't really explored yet. And in a few seconds, I'm going to talk about how Bridgerton is going to explore a whole lot of new things when it comes to Benedict's season. So obviously we don't know too much set in stone about Benedict's season because it hasn't even started filming yet. I don't even know if all of the scripts are done being written yet. So the list of things we know for sure is kind of a short list, but here are some things that we can also pretty much expect from season 4 based on what we know. These aren't like set in stone 100% things, but these are just kind of me guesstimating things that we can expect. So when it comes to the casting of Sophie Beckett, I think that it can go one of 2 ways. I think they could just give us a regular casting announcement, similar to how they did with Simone Ashley when it was announced that she was going to be playing Kate. Like one day we're just going to get a film updates Twitter notification and it's going to let us know who's playing Sophie. Or I can totally see Netflix and Bridgerton really leaning into the whole Lady in Silver aspect of her character, which it kind of feels like they're already doing. And they might try their best to hide the casting of Sophie from us, like literally up until the show comes out. That way, the audience sort of feels the same way that Benedict does when he meets the Lady in Silver and has no idea who her identity is. So we as the audience also have no idea who her identity is. And while I think that that's very clever marketing, I just am very desperate to know who is going to be playing Sophie, so I kind of hope they just tell us. And I hope they tell us sooner rather than later. Obviously, like I said, we can expect a masquerade ball. Not only has Jesper now talked about it, but the masquerade ball is clearly mentioned at the end of season 3. So because of this, we can probably expect to see Violet moving out of Bridgerton House during season 4, which is what she does in Benedict's book, and she also mentions moving out of Bridgerton House at the very beginning of season 3. In the book, Violet throws this masquerade ball as her sort of last hurrah before she officially moves out of Bridgerton House. So I do expect that the show will probably be the same. We can hopefully expect to see more of Kate and Anthony with their child Edmund, and also we can probably expect to see more of Colin and Penelope. In a perfect and ideal world, I would love to get Daphne back because I did miss her in season 3. I don't think that the actress wants to come back though, so I don't expect to see Daphne in season 4. I also believe that we can expect Eloise to return from Scotland at the beginning of season 4. Eloise is such a dynamic character and she gives so much to the show just because of how funny she is. So I can't imagine them going through a season of the show without heavily including Eloise. Plus, I also personally expect her season to be after Benedict's, so they need to have her in the show to set up her storyline. And of course, in the final episode of season 3, Eloise mentions that she will return for her mother's masquerade ball. However, I'm not quite sure how much of Francesca and John we're going to be seeing in season 4. While I expect Eloise to return from Scotland, I don't really expect John and Francesca to return, so it's going to be interesting to see how they include them in season 4 when they're so far away. Not only have I not read Francesca's book, so I don't really know the details of her story, but I do know they're also changing things here and there with Francesca's story, so it's really hard to guess what they're going to do with her character and with her storyline while they wait to get to her season. I do really love Hannah Dodd as Francesca though, so I really hope we get to see her more in season 4. And I do love Francesca and John together, so I hope we get to see more of them before John inevitably leaves us. Something else I expect to see is Violet exploring her newfound relationship with Lord Anderson. I think that he is going to return as a character for sure. Also, not that I expect to see less of the Featheringtons, but I do think that if they include the Featherington family in season 4, it has to be a good storyline, because if the Featheringtons are just there doing nothing and taking away screen time from like characters that actually matter, like Benedict, Sophie, Eloise, I'm gonna be very mad. And finally, I want to talk to you about why you should be excited for season 4 of Bridgerton. Just in case you haven't read Benedict's book and you don't really know what to expect, I've got a couple of good reasons why you should be very excited for this upcoming season. For starters, Benedict isn't a fan favorite for no reason. Luke Thompson is an incredible actor, and one of his many, many gifts is his ability to have chemistry with every single person he interacts with. Like, genuinely, every single person that Luke Thompson looks at, whether he's in character as Benedict or he's just being Luke Thompson, he looks at everybody like he's in love with them. He just has that look about him. So you can pretty much guarantee that Benedict and Sophie are going to have phenomenal chemistry. The storyline of Benedict's book is a classic romance. It's loosely based off of Cinderella. And honestly, in my opinion, you just can't go wrong with any version of a Cinderella story, except for that one time they did it with Camila Cabello. That was just really bad. We don't talk about that one. But what I mean by that is that season 4 is going to feel like real classic romance, hopefully. And I think that that's a really good thing, because I do feel like season 3 kind of forgot to focus on the romance, which is a very important part of these books and these stories. Sophie and Benedict have a relationship I think most similar to Kate and Anthony, in my opinion at least. So if you love the dynamic of season 2, I think season 4 is going to be right up your alley. Sophie and Benedict both have very dry senses of humor. And I know that some people actually don't like Benedict's book, because I think if you don't read it in the right tone, some of the humor doesn't come off very well. But I think Luke Thompson's charisma is going to transfer spectacularly onto screen. Sophie and Benedict bicker and fight with each other, but they're also helplessly in love with each other, which is a very fun dynamic to watch when you're watching a cheesy romance show. Sophie and Benedict hit a lot of classic romance tropes. They've got love at first sight, they've got enemies to lovers, they've got forbidden love. They've got a sort of I hate that I love you type of romance. You have the Cinderella circumstance, rich versus poor, or like unequal social classes, whatever you want to call it, and so many more. But what I think makes Benedict's book so compelling and what makes it my favorite Bridgerton book out of the ones that I've read is that Sophie is so much more than just a love interest. She is a very compelling character on her own. I think most people that like Benedict's book can agree with me that when you read Benedict's book, you start it for Benedict, but you finish it for Sophie. Like throughout his book, she is the character that you fall in love with and she is the character that you're rooting for. Something that also makes their story very compelling is that both Benedict and Sophie have a lot of internal conflict going on with themselves. Benedict meets the Lady in Silver at this masquerade ball, and he is convinced that she is the one for him. So when she leaves and he has no idea who she is, he spends the next 2 years looking for her, thinking about her, comparing her to every girl that he meets. He is like actively holding out on marrying anybody else on the off chance that he finds the Lady in Silver one day. Like Benedict's biggest fear is putting a ring on some other girl's finger and the next day he runs into the girl from the masquerade ball. But then he meets Sophie and he falls in love with Sophie so unexpectedly, and it terrifies him because like everybody else for the past 2 years, he's just thinking, what about the Lady in Silver? Where is she? What if she shows up? And Benedict is so confused because he always thought that there would only be one love of his life, and he was certain that that was the girl from the masquerade ball. But now he feels like he's found 2 of them, and he's just so confused. It causes him to hesitate in his relationship with Sophie, causing their relationship to have conflict. And obviously, little does Benedict know that Sophie and the Lady in Silver are the same person. Sophie's internal conflict comes from the fact that she is the bastard daughter of the Earl of Penwood. So because of her birth status, she's basically known nothing but like cruelty her whole life and like the ostracization that comes with being a bastard, especially in the 1800s. When she meets Benedict, both times, she knows immediately that she's in love with him. But because of their obvious difference in social classes, when Benedict wants Sophie to come back to London with him and be with him, that's not a marriage proposal, but a proposal for Sophie to be Benedict's mistress. And Sophie refuses to be that for him or for anybody. She knows what it's like to be born and raised as a bastard in this society. And if she was Benedict's mistress and not wife, she knows that eventually, inevitably, she would have a bastard child. And that is something that she would never, ever, ever wish upon her own child. So Sophie has this internal struggle between her own morals and acting on her feelings of true love that are very overwhelming and powerful. And so while both Benedict and Sophie struggle internally, that lends a hand to the struggle of their relationship, giving us a wild and fun and very dramatic romance. Something that I think Bridgerton actually struggles with when it comes to adapting the books to the show is that I feel like sometimes they value drama over romance. But honestly, I think the miscommunication that happens between Sophie and Benedict in their book is so dramatic that Bridgerton doesn't even need to add any drama. They're good. Benedict and Sophie have plenty of drama already packed into their book. They're good to go. I cannot wait to see Benedict's story finally come to life on my screen. It literally feels surreal. And I still don't believe that we're actually getting his season. Like, this feels like a dream. When they skipped over him for season 3, I kind of just expected that I would have to wait years and years and years to see Benedict's story. Even though I made a video talking about how I think Benedict is going to be the next lead like a month ago, I still doubted it. And I still had my hesitations about it because I don't trust Bridgerton. So this is just everything to me. And I think that this was the wise decision for Bridgerton to make. I know that a lot of Eloise fans are very upset by the news. And trust me, I empathize with you if you are one of those people that is really upset that Eloise is not season 4. Because I know how I would feel if I found out I had to wait 4 more years for Benedict's season. Trust me, I get it. You are so valid for being upset that Eloise is not next. But I think there's still so much more of Eloise's story to tell outside of her love story. And it felt like Benedict was genuinely just a placeholder of a character in season 3. Like, the writers were running out of things to do with Benedict, and it was getting very obvious, and it was getting very irritating. So if he was in season 4, I think it would just be actually ridiculous. So long story short, I can't wait for season 4. Just when I thought I was out, Bridgerton pulls me right back in. I think if the showrunners and writers take a lot of the constructive criticism that came from season 3 and work on the issues that they have, season 4 has the potential to be the best season of Bridgerton so far. And obviously, I have a little bit of bias when I say that. I'm almost okay with the fact that it's gonna take them 2 years to finish season 4 of Bridgerton, just because I want them to take their precious time with the scripts for this season. And I want them to take their precious time with the costuming and the editing, everything. Go ahead, take your time, make it perfect. I will wait. I think in my ideal world, season 4 of Bridgerton is gonna have like the energy of season 2 and like the chemistry of season 2, but with the aesthetic a little bit more of season 1 and like a sprinkle of Pride and Prejudice mixed in there. I think the aesthetic of Pride and Prejudice would fit Benedict's book perfectly, especially with it being in the fall now instead of the spring. I'm seeing the vision. And if the vision comes to fruition, then the Bridgerton creative team cooked. If season 4 of Bridgerton is immaculate, if they do everything right, I will make a public apology to Jess Burnell as a showrunner. I'll say I'm sorry. I take it back. I was quick to judge. And I hope I do. I hope Jess Burnell proves me wrong, and I hope that she creates an amazing show when it comes to Bridgerton season 4. But that pretty much does it for this video. If you're excited that Benedict is going to be the next lead of Bridgerton, let me know in the comments down below. I need to know where my Benedict girlies are at. And if you're not excited that Benedict's next, let me know why. I'm curious. Make sure you follow me on all my other social medias so you don't miss when I freak out about anything Bridgerton related or any other fandom for that matter. Check out my podcast with my boyfriend. I promise it's returning soon. We've taken about like a month hiatus due to moving and being out of town a lot, but it's coming back. We're finally settled down into our apartment, so it will be coming back very soon. Don't worry. And also check out my Patreon. On my Patreon, you can watch me watch seasons 1 through 3 of Bridgerton, and it's a really fun time over there, so make sure you check it out. The link is in the description down below. But that about does it for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you all next time. Bye.